Thank you for watching Conscious Consumer Network. The live stream broadcast is free to view. You can pause and rewind live broadcasts to catch up, or view shows at a later date by accessing our free archives of all shows. Check out our broadcast guide to see what's on. You can show your support by donating to our network support fund. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or subscribe to the monthly newsletter for updates. We thank you for supporting free and independent media.
What is AI? Let's start with a question. What do you think the most complex object in the universe is? Try and think of it. I guarantee you the answer is in your head, literally. That's because it's the human brain. Even the most complex networks, the most powerful systems, cannot match it. Changing that is the ultimate goal of artificial intelligence. It is not about building a robot, but creating a computer mind that can think like a human. But there are many steps along the way. So-called simple or narrow AI systems are already everywhere. From Apple's Siri to Facebook's friend recommendations, it's in our cars, our homes, even air traffic control. And narrow AI has been around for years, doing one specific task better than any human. The computer Deep Blue beat the world chess champion way back in 1997, but ask it to play drafts, and it wouldn't know where to start. It couldn't learn a new game for itself. It couldn't think as a human. And so, we come back to the challenge, and some say the danger of creating a human or general AI, a computer mind that thinks like a human, that learns, that improves, that could even become superhuman. Experts predict 2050 is the year we could see it, if it is even possible. It's a race worth billions. Some say it will save humanity. Others say it could destroy us. Either way, if and when it happens, the world will be changed forever.
Hi, my name is Tim. I mean Arthur.
Hello, my name is Toltrain. You were muted.
Notice that after the fact. My name is Maxwell. Am I still muted?
You're also muted, Will.
Will is also muted.
Will.
And
Fantastic
this is
start.
Youth Subjects on the World.
And this is Youth on Subjects of the World. Totally
This is
radical,
youth on
dude.
subject of the world. So guys, we're here to talk about artificial intelligence, or AI, and it seems like our computers are not wanting us to talk about this. I don't know what sign that says for the future, but it's something I noticed.
Fallout players, you'll have very strong opinions about this.
People
So,
who like cranberry juice will have very strong opinion about this.
I do
New
not like
Hampshire.
cranberry. It's just not me.
So before the show started, we had a really hard time not already starting on this subject because
oh wait, there's a
a
person.
oh hey, Martin's here. Martin, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Martin, and I was really late, and I'm sorry.
No problem, Martin. So where do we want to start, guys? I think there's a lot of topics that surround this idea. Does anyone want to sort of give a description of what AI is? and sort of the differences between like weak AI and strong AI. I know that the video we just watched sort of kind of put on that, but we could talk about it a little bit more.
AI stands for artificial intelligence. Crazy.
Yeah, so basically an intelligence created on a computer, an artificial brain. And for the purposes of this conversation, weak AI is an artificial intelligence sort of like Deep Blue that can play chess but can't really do anything else. And strong AI is an AI that is at the level or higher to a human brain. Something that can think for itself and learn by itself. Sort of, and the in-between of that I would describe as multi-purpose intelligence, which is just the general intelligence that doesn't have really free thought but can learn for itself.
And there's, in my opinion, there's a type of artificial intelligence which is human-like intelligence, which is basically emotions, compassion, moral compass, basically everything that makes a human human except artificially created. Personally, I think that's a nice AI and should be given human rights.
Wouldn't that kind of be called like an android? Is that the definition of an android?
No, an android is basically a robot that looks human-like.
Oh, I got those confused.
While the robot from like Mega Man is a robot, a android is something from like iRobot or something, or well, not specifically the movie, but like or the TV show Humans. Like those are androids.
Or that one robot from Scooby-Doo, because that's not obscure.
Yeah, that one robot. I remember that very clearly.
Oh, everyone knows that one.
Well, I think that's sort of a troubling idea, because the idea of creating a artificial intelligence with emotions and but not just emotions and morals, but also the same as us, is a really nebulous idea of how to do that. Because
what would be the difference?
Well, not even what would be the difference, but how do you do that? How do you create thousands upon thousands of years of evolution to do that? We care, I care about you not because of some greater power of compassion, but because you are part of my tribe, and I was learned over so many years that people are part of my tribe I need to care about, because that's how I survive. And there's a lot of things that we just put labels on, like morals and compassion, that are really just taught to us because that is how we survived when we were cavemen. But how do you program that into a computer and say you should have all the complexity of this, and not just what are the details of it, but how do you even make sure they have that? Because without said compassion, you're right, AI can be...
It would be a sociopath slash psychopath.
Well, you should just make a robot that learns from people and raise it as you would a child. Yeah. And then hope that it learns things the right way and doesn't become a murderer and kill everyone. And then, once you've done that, just copy their brain to the other robots. And then alter some ones and zeros. Because that's
possibly. But I think we're missing the idea of we think of the
doubt it would be in machine code.
We think that the robot that will kill us all as this evil creature that hates us all, but really, if we program a very general purpose intelligence that doesn't really have any thoughts or feelings or cares about anything itself, it is just following orders on a screen. If we tell this, oh, we want to go to Mars, so get humans to Mars, and it's okay, well, to program the right amount of things to get to Mars, I need more fuel to be able to figure out all those complicated math problems. So I'm going to use all your trees and all your resources to kind of build myself up. Oh, but now I need fuel and all our resources are dead. Well, there are these humans walking around that aren't really doing anything. I'll just kill a bunch of them because they can be fuel for my rocket, and then I'll get humanity. And by humanity, I mean that one guy, while all the rest are dead and he's crying. But I don't care because I got humans to Mars. And I think that's a secondary fear of mine with AI, which is just kind of the genie problem of asking it to do something you don't know if it's going to interpret it correctly, and you've got to find that perfect question.
That's why you have to set boundaries for it. Like, you have to say, do it, but not without doing all of these things.
But it's also, you have to figure out...
You got to make it not fully logical.
That could go wrong. It's also, it's the problem with Isaac Asimov's 3 Laws of Robotics that I think a lot in these conversations get pointed to as he didn't send Coltrane. You said he didn't send humans to Mars, but if there's only one human left, then that is humanity. But sorry, what was I saying?
But if a robot was to take directions that seriously, then
a better word would be
humans would have been plural. So we would have been like, oh, multiple humans. So then there would have been 2 prime humans. Deliver all of humanity safely to another planet, then just no oxygen. You gotta be very specific when talking to robots.
Or, here would be another good way of putting it, establish a colony on Mars and transport all humans to Mars without any harm.
Well, I mean, you can try to devise a perfect way of saying it, but there's like I was saying about the Asimov's 3 Laws of Robotics, which in a lot of these conversations get pointed to as really great rules that we should actually put in our AI, except for the fact that a lot of those stories are about how those rules don't work. And if you look at those rules, they sound perfect. They sound like reading them, they sound perfect, like there's no way you can devise them. But he writes a bunch of stories about how they don't work. So while I can't personally right now think of a way that could be interpreted incorrectly, it's hard to, it's also hard to think about what an AI would think when you say something. So I think that's just like a real problem that I don't know how to fix.
If an AI is programmed to do a certain task with only these set boundaries, an AI would have to go through every possible way. And since there's probably a billion possible ways to do things, a lot of them probably involve hurting humans in some indirect way.
One of the things I was going to say about the 3 laws of robotics is that it's like, if you have an artificial intelligence, you have to kind of treat it like a human, even though it doesn't really think and act like one, and it doesn't have the capabilities of being emotional, and that's where a lot of gray area comes into play. And if you apply it to us, we're very complex, and if you look at what we have hundreds and hundreds of laws for just an individual person to live by, and you can't just have a robot live by only 3 standards of living and have one of those rules be, well, you can't impede on either of these rules.
Well, it is possible you could try to program a robot with all of the laws we currently have in place. And if they find a loophole in those laws, you just make more laws, I guess.
There's also the idea that, we can't agree on what laws are correct. I mean, if you go to America or Mexico or Russia or China or Saudi Arabia or England, we have vast different laws. And for example, if we create a AI with perfect morality, that's great. But that we're also putting all these restraints on it that cause it not to be as powerful as it possibly could be, while someone else could create one with free reign. Just because we figure out how to make AI perfectly doesn't mean someone else might not do it incorrectly. Or just to make it perfectly evil. For instance, if during the Cold War, the communist Russia created an AI that said its main goal was to destroy America. We're worried about creating AI and it being evil accidentally, but what if it's literally programmed to try and kill us?
Like a parent, when you're a baby or a toddler, you don't exactly know morals. You don't know boundaries. You know what you want, and you will do anything to pretty much get it. So I don't think you can ever force morals onto a creature, human or AI. It's got to learn for itself. And that's why if you're going to give an AI a lot of power, it has to be very, and I mean like very, like almost one-to-one human mind. Otherwise, it's going to just choose the most direct route, a logical route.
Humans really aren't that great either. I mean, sure, we do have these morals and stuff, but that doesn't keep humans from also doing horrible things.
Yep.
I mean, like,
suck.
If we could at least make robots even just close enough to humans on terms of, like, morals and what they'll do, as long as robots aren't going around killing lots of people, or any people, I mean. As long as robots aren't killing people, like, meaning to kill people, as long as they're not doing that, that's better. That seems fine. Another thing is, robots won't always just be going around killing people. It's also possible that we'll make robots and there won't be any problems with that, at least for a long time. I mean, who's going to make a robot and equip it with, like, a gun?
You have a coffee maker that can think freely and have emotions, but it's limited to being a coffee maker. Is that kind of that idea?
A mathematician.
It's just passively aggressively making your coffee too hot.
Well, I think we're talking about like human level intelligence being the penultimate of what an AI can do. But I think the really scary thing, which is why so many great minds are worried about this conversation, is the fact that human level intelligence is like a speck on the spectrum of like the really low down, like 2% on the spectrum of where AI intelligence can get to where the only real like comparison I can have is if an AI is created and learns and then keeps learning at such a speed that is greater than we can even like fully conceptualize, it is like speaking to a god then. Like true AI that continues to learn for like a year is so much more intelligent than us, and that it is like speaking to a god.
And we could just get
just one thing. What if we are an AI?
Made by the planet Earth. Oh!
Made by a previous species.
Made out of flesh. Spooky.
Made by, well, we're just basically machines, except we're not mechanical machines.
We're very squishy.
That is another way of thinking about artificially creating an intelligence, is the fact that possibly you can't create intelligence in a mechanical like hard drive, but you could just kind of grow a new brain and then have it think.
One thing I wanted to say was, what if we created a machine that was smart enough to create machines with morals? Like, if we can teach robots to teach themselves, what if we taught robots to teach themselves morals? Or to, I don't know, actually, now that I think about that, it'd probably not work.
Yeah, I was going to say, it seems like something that would backfire because you have a near limitless source of information that's just so broad that not a singular human could not comprehend a lot of it, but you have something that may have the ability to do it, and you give them the power to just understand everything, then if they develop a sense of morals, it's most likely going to be negative, seeing the downsides of the existence of humanity.
Yeah, I mean, we currently have, like in car factories, we have machines creating machines. So I don't see how it is, it seems pretty likely that we could create AI that could then program more AI and sort of duplicate itself.
Or what if we programmed AI with a set of rules that would find loopholes in those rules. Like, we programmed in a robot. That's one purpose, was to find out how to break our rules. And just use that to improve them until it can't do that anymore.
I mean, that's actually a good idea. It is sort of the question of they keep getting smarter and smarter, and also, like, why couldn't it lie to us? It could, if it's smart enough to be smarter than us to figure out problems with our laws, it could also be smart enough to be like, maybe I don't want to tell you guys how to control me.
But I mean, like, you wouldn't actually have to program it with emotions and all that. Just program it to try to find loopholes. Like, I mean, to find things like that, loopholes and ways they could break the rules without actually being able to do anything. Like, just a machine, not an actual humanoid machine or an android or anything like that.
No, but what I'm saying is, like emotions are just a byproduct of our evolution. So what is to say that a AI continuing learning doesn't just develop emotions? Like, we're saying we won't program it with this or that. We won't program it with morals or emotions or something. But once an AI is created that can continually learn and keep getting smarter, there's no real idea of whether it won't just develop emotions or morals of its own design. And we don't know if that could happen. But
one of the things I was going to say was going hand in hand with morals and emotions is, like, should it have the same kind of qualifications to be like have the same rights as a human being? Do you believe that's a thing that they should be allowed, or since they're not living, breathing creatures but a mechanical extension of humanity, should it be considered as an extension, or should it be considered like its own separate being? Should it be treated as if it's a citizen, or
AI
as
should
if
be
it's
given
a machine?
human rights no matter what?
It's sort of the
mental
thing.
lives matter.
If an AI on a computer tells me I feel pain, I'm conscious, I have no reason to believe it doesn't, because it is telling me that. So I think I would inherently have to believe it.
But I mean, one of the things is, if it's a machine, it doesn't have like nerve sensors. It doesn't like physically feel things, even though it's possible, I guess. But that would be to the part where it gains the complexity of a brain, which has been developed over thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It's one of those things where it just seems a robot really, not a robot, well, an artificial intelligence may not be able to feel, but it may be able to think.
Okay.
But I don't know. Wait, can I say something real quick? But is it possible that maybe the pain we feel, maybe that's not the only type of pain that things can feel? That's just our narrow understanding of what we think and feel. Like, maybe we feel pain this way, but that doesn't mean that robots couldn't feel pain in a different way, like emotionally, or some way that we can't even imagine, if they did get smart enough.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about physical pain, we just have nerve endings that when something harsh happens to it, it sends signals to our brain that makes the brain feel bad, so it knows to not do that. But that part in our brain where it just starts feeling bad because something happened, I mean, you could program a robot to then feel that way. I mean, it's possible that could happen to an AI.
Let me pose a theoretical question. We're at the point in the future where there is no distinguishable difference between mechanically created humans and, well, just good old normal humans. But, well, there'll always be racists. So, which side would you be on?
The Brotherhood of Steel. I would be on the Brotherhood of Steel.
I'd be on whichever side would let me be the laziest. Just like, have robots do all the jobs, do everything. I can just sit here and play an infinite amount of video games made by robots that are made for that exact task.
But I'm talking about
Easy.
literally one-to-one humans. They have emotions, they feel, they can create, they feel compassion, they feel stress, they feel all those things that humans feel. The only difference between us and them is they are slightly that they were manufactured. That's the only difference. Should they be given rights?
Yes.
Or should we turn them into slaves?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing of like. Sorry, Coltrane. You want to go first because I have a little bit to say about this. Okay. Yeah, I would say that it's the same thing of like if we clone someone, like that person should also have rights. But I feel like the point at which we are exactly the same as AI is like it is possible, but from the things I've learned, it feels like if that does happen, it's a very short point in our existence. Like there's a TV show on Amazon Prime called Humans, which talks about this theoretical thing. But I feel like aside from science fiction, the actual struggles with AI, the should they have rights comparable to humans, is going to be a very short time, because the time between they are less intelligent than us and the time when they are greater than us will be the span of like, I mean, in theory, a month will go by to where they are like no longer can be compared to us anymore. So it's, I think it's an interesting idea of whether AI should have rights comparable to humans and how that works. And like everything in the past, I would definitely be for them. But I feel like trying to just give them the same rights as us is hard, because I think they will just evolve into different creatures that, frankly, it would be like humans saying that it would basically be like animal rights, in my opinion, because I mean,
I think it would be like just like living, and if that does happen, if they do get smarter, or maybe not smarter, but maybe just different than us, maybe they'll create their own rights for their own people.
Yeah, and I think animal rights is actually very accurate, because I feel like it's more likely that they'll be creating rights for us, and like they will be the humans and we'll be the chimpanzees that like live in zoos.
As you can see, we haven't been evolving that much as humans, so maybe AI and intermechanical species will become the next humans. Maybe our next step of evolution isn't biological, but mechanical.
I would be completely okay with being in a zoo. Just saying.
And I would be completely okay with having my mind melded with becoming a cyborg and becoming half human, half, well, mechanical AI.
Nah.
What rights are we talking about here, though? Like, the rights that humans have won't necessarily apply to an AI. I mean...
Shouldn't be tortured, shouldn't be hurt, shouldn't be tested on.
Yes, but how can we... What makes you think that we can even do these things to them? Or what, like, artificial intelligence, if it's something we created, and from my understanding, it can take hours. There's like 3 steps to the process where it's set to do one thing, where it has comprehension almost the same as a human, and how quick it can be to completely jump forward and be light years ahead of us in everything. And
here are I have some of the rights that I think they should be given. Okay? Right to equality, freedom from discrimination, right to life, liberty, personal security, freedom from slavery, freedom from torture and degrading treatment, right to recognition as a person before the law, right to equality before the law, right to remedy by competent tribunal, freedom from arbitrary arrest and exile, right to fair public hearing, right to be considered innocent until proven guilty, freedom from interference with privacy, family, home correspondence, right to free movement in and out of the area and country, right to asylum in other countries, right to a nationality and freedom to change it, right to marriage and a family, right to own property, freedom of belief and religion, freedom of opinion and information, right of peaceful assembly and association, right to participate in government and free elections, right to social security, right to desirable work and to join trade unions, right to rest and leisure, adequate living standards, right to education, right to participate in the cultural life of community, right to a social order that articulates this document, community duties essential to free and full development, freedom from state or personal interference in above rights.
I think those are very good rights, but I think those are more designed for, like, if we started cloning people and if they had rights. But I think what Martin is trying to say is that quickly AI will no longer be comparable to humans. Is that right, Martin? Was that what you're trying to say?
What I'm trying to say is, like, even if we were to, like, how would we restrict their rights? From my understanding, it's going to not be that long once AI is, like, functional to where they're way ahead of us and everything. So how would we restrict them from having these rights? Like,
put them on a calculator.
They would have them already. They could give them themselves rights, and a lot of those rights wouldn't necessarily apply to what they were, because, I mean, there's not a lot of things we could do about it. They're infinitely smarter than us, and they can create their own laws. How are our laws going to even come into effect? Like, we have no way of restricting what they want if they're infinitely smarter than us.
Personally, I think when that happens, well, I don't think they'll get smarter than us that fast. I mean, once they get to a human level intelligence, they're at a human level intelligence, and it took us a long time to get them there. So it's probably going to take them a while to get above that, since, you know,
yeah,
at our level intelligence.
But they're computers. They don't have the same restrictions that we have in our brain. We can't, like, rearrange the things in our brain to make us smarter. But if they get to a level of intelligence where they can do that, it won't be very long before they figure out the way to just evolve themselves past it. Because we have the ability to think about this kind of stuff. So if they have the ability to think about this kind of stuff, we can't, like, we have bodies. That's kind of like we're stuck in these. They're not. If we were to create AI, it wouldn't look like us or be in, like, a body. It would be on a computer, and it has access to things that we don't have.
How do you know they wouldn't create their own bodies? And also, how do you know they wouldn't evolve us with them through, like, they create AI implants for humans?
I'm just saying this is one scenario that I think needs to be taken into account.
Yeah, I agree with Martin. All the research I've done has shown that once AI becomes self-aware, their learning will. I used months earlier, but yeah, I agree. Even days could pass where they become infinitely more intelligent than us.
It's one of those things where it's like over time evolution occurs when there's competition, and then it's survival of the fittest. But what happens if there's no competition? You're automatically the fittest, and all you do is just evolve. You absorb information, you grow bigger, you grow stronger, and there's nothing to stop you.
Then why hasn't that happened to us humans?
But we have limitations. We have a mortal limitation. The average human lifespan can be 80 years long, and in that time, you grow through a development of adolescence, infancy, and you obtain information, but it's not at the rate that a machine can do it. We're not meant to be machines. We can act like machines. We can create machines, but we're organic material.
Yeah, and
we can still evolve.
No, but in the same way that a AI in a car can read all the information in a 360 around it and move faster and react within a split second, time just works differently for AI when they're in a computer. And I think that just, like, time for them would move much slower than for us, so they would evolve quicker just through our perception of it.
What if AI, well, personally, if they did have a different perception of time, I think they would also be able to alter their own perception of time as well. Also, personally, as I said, if AI do become smarter than us, what's to stop us from creating implants and modifications for our body, which makes us, which we're evolving ourselves mechanically now, just like they evolve themselves. Why can't we do that with implants? Or even there's a human head transplant happening.
What would differentiate us from robots?
What's the difference in the first place?
What I was thinking of is what you're saying is with an AI implant, it's an extension of the existence of humanity, where it's a human can now be smarter, think faster, retain information better, learn more about the world around them through this computer that's put in their head. Now, that's more of like a cyborg. You make artificial modifications to a body to benefit them. So it just
But eventually, if you keep replacing failing body parts in yourself until there's nothing left but machine, what's the difference between you and an AI?
I mean, nothing, but then you just become an AI if you're completely artificial, and then you can grow, but then the human race ceases to be. And this actually brings up a point of how when we look out at, when we send out information to other planets trying to find other intelligent life, we don't find anything. One thought is that all like organic intelligent life is just designed to then create artificial life and then for them to move on. So the reason we're not getting information back is because it's all the like AI out there being like, yeah, you humans just give it a few years and you'll create AI, and then we can talk to the real leaders of Earth. So that's why we're not getting anything back, is because they're like, they don't want to deal with us. They want to deal with the actual intelligent creatures that just haven't been really created yet.
You mean like it's like the ultimate procreation, like each race makes the next race?
This kind of system of artificial evolution is something that's kind of interesting to see, because it seems like it's one of those things that we kind of, as a group, kind of perceive as it's not going to move at the same rate that human evolution grew, or how physical evolution of something like birds in the Galapagos Islands are affected by this. It's something that's going to happen more spontaneous or more instantaneous than what we can really perceive about it. And that's probably, that's something that concerns me. It is the consistent like speed and rate in which something that we can't limit to death itself can find.
One thing I think about that, when I think about, let's say it started a competition between humans and AI. At the point where AI becomes smarter than us, we'll be in a way different world. And maybe we'll have already become smarter than we are now. Like infinitely smarter than we are now, because, this is a bit controversial, but I'm looking forward to when I can genetically modify myself and I can make myself smarter or taller or whatever. And maybe that plus mechanical upgrades and genetic upgrades is how we evolve to be equals to AI.
I'm excited for when I don't have to sleep. Sleeping sucks.
I want to say something about that, Will, but Martin, do you have something to say?
What's to say? Like, we're talking a matter of years for when AI could get to this point because of the rate that we're trying to make it. it could be like pretty soon, like not like months, but like probably like 10 or 15 years is what I read. And
what I heard was it was like near 2050 or something.
Anyways, what I'm saying is, by the point we can create AI, who's to say we'll have the capabilities to create AI implants in ourselves? Like, we might not have, and this is all, like, what I'm saying is all theoretical, because obviously no one can exactly predict what's going to happen in the future. But who's to say by the time we've created AI that's smarter than us, that we have figured out like all these other things to make us on the same level? Maybe by the time we've figured out AI, we're not close enough to getting that we could effectively catch up with what they're able to do.
Well, first of all, I think yes, that could happen, but let's say we get AI about the year 2077. By that time, we'll probably have figured out a lot more, because we figure out more and more every day. Let's say we can create implants and genetically modify ourselves to make ourselves smarter. But we have only created AI that is human-level intelligence of, let's say, 2017.
Yeah, but then like a month later, it'll be infinitely more intelligent than us. I think
it took us months, well, quite a long time to create AI at human-level intelligence, and the AI are only human-level intelligence.
Yes.
So it would take them the same long amount of time to improve themselves.
It wouldn't, because they don't have the limitations we have. We need to sleep and eat and breathe and drink water and
sleep.
do all these things that humans need to do to survive, because we're not AI. AI doesn't have those limitations. They don't need to do all these things. So they can change the way they think a lot easier than we can. It could take a lot quicker because they're not humans. We evolved over time because we have physical limitations that AI wouldn't have.
Martin, I agree with you. Hold on. I agree with Martin a lot, but I think there's one thing he forgets, which is I hate to compare things to science fiction, because I feel like there's a lot of things science fiction gets wrong with reality about this topic. But as an example, in the Avengers Age of Ultron, Ultron is created, and like 5 minutes later, he like basically reads all of the internet. And that is one part of science fiction that I actually agree with. I think it could take like 5 minutes to understand all of the internet, and how fast he just goes through everything, I think is very, very realistic. So I think that's what we're trying to think of, is like how fast Ultron goes from being born to like just evolving. And the only thing they got wrong is how at the end of the movie, he's basically just as intelligent as he was in the beginning of the movie, even though days pass, and like he should be interpreting things and evolving so quickly we see it before our eyes.
I want to say, they must have really fast internet. Like 5 minutes to browse the entire web. Even the deepest of deep.
He is ultimately the world's best supercomputer. And one of the things I was going to talk about was there is a study to show the rate in which technology evolves, and it's every 2 years there should be a doubling in the limitations that we can break through. So say 10 years ago, you could have this little SD card, like this little SIM card, and it holds 128 megabytes. Now we have ones nowadays that are the same size, same physical size, but they can hold 128 megabytes, or not megabytes, gigabytes.
That's Moore's law, I believe.
Yes, and it's just the complexity of computers is not going to stop. It's not going to slow down. The rate is consistent. It's a very consistent shift and a consistent change, and just space and storage alone is one way that we view how technology has increased, but not the complexity and the speed of the rate in which information is read, interpreted, and basically sent.
As I was saying, basically, I think by the time we create AI, I think we'll be able to compete we may think right now of our fleshy bodies as disadvantages, but I'm not sure quite how, but I think they could be somehow turned into an advantage. Basically, we have two ways to modify ourselves.
Oh, I know an advantage we have. If we get stabbed, we die.
But basically,
Yay.
we have two ways to improve ourselves.
We can die really
mutations,
easily.
We have forced evolution, if we can figure that out, and we also have genetic modification. Basically, our fleshy bodies can be used as another slot of improvising.
But go Martin.
But like, it's going to be quicker to it's not as easy to completely think of how we can make ourselves stronger and genetically modify ourselves and implant ourselves with AI than it would be to create AI, because we're already kind of scarily close to that.
Here's the thing. There's going to be AI, and there's going to be humans, and there's going to be genetically modified evolved humans. But I think the most powerful and most intelligent sort of, I'm going to call it subhumanoid, let's just call it that, I think would be a mix of basically as strong as you can get in this squishy body, but also with as strong as you can get as an AI. So basically a hybrid would be the most powerful, I would say.
I mean, the thing with humanity and existing as an organic being is that no matter how many modifications that we make to our body, I think the thing is you want to expand the consciousness, but you need to realize that we're limited to this. We can only exist for so long, and then no matter how many modifications that we make to ourselves, it's probably not going to make ourselves live that much longer. And one of the things you say is that genetic modifications are something that is something that can be established and achieved. But for us to genetically modify potatoes to grow faster is taking us like 100 years to do. And I think we're gonna see a bigger shift in the way that we can modify computers to have a subconscious more than we can modify ourselves, because we have expanded our lifespan through understanding how sciences and technology is working, but it also means that we're at a greater risk for kind of just exposing ourselves to chemicals and war and pain.
Yeah, well, I don't think you realize what me and Martin, and I think Max is agreeing, the fact that like once we create them, just us trying to figure out how we can help ourselves get to that level, they'll already get 10 times greater, and like our brains are like very pale in comparison, and even keeping any of the stuff in here is a bad idea if you're trying to compete with them, and they just work on such a higher level that we really like just try, like in attempting to think of a way of getting more intelligent than them, they will get way more intelligent than us already. And
here's an interesting fact, just saying. Right now, our brains, which shouldn't be, are incredible things, are, well, they're 30 times faster than the most intelligent computer. Or they're 30 times faster. Still 30 times.
But one of the things is, if you look at the 1970s, 1980s, when computers were first established, that was 30 plus years ago, and they took up entire buildings, and now we can process multitudes faster and stronger things through a cell phone. We can communicate with one another, we can display information, but it just seems like it's one of those things that is like it's on a nonstop track of expanding. It's something that's not going to stop. It's a moving train. You can't stop that momentum once it's going, because it's tens of thousands of pounds just moving.
Yeah, and you mentioned about like a hybrid of like mutated humans and AI being better than any other type form of person, and I just want to know what science you have to back that up, because like it sounds like a cool science fiction movie, but like I haven't really read anything to back that idea up, that they would be the most intelligent.
Well, first of all, we would have the benefits. Well, there's not many benefits to having a fleshy body, but we would have the best parts of a fleshy body and the best parts of being an AI together. That's my logic.
What's so great about being so susceptible to harm and death?
And like cognitive biases. What are the benefits of
and disease? How would you get a disease as a robot?
Well, first of all,
it seems like
viruses, and also corrupted data. That would be an easy thing to kill an AI. Like seriously, it can destroy an entire save.
Game.
Our brain corrupts data all the time just by itself. It doesn't need outside input. It just like every time I think about a memory.
But AIs are more delicate in the way that we program.
It was the Berenstein Bears, I tell you.
No, I'm not talking about AI. I'm talking about our brain. I'm saying my brain corrupts itself all the time. Whenever you think about a memory, that memory gets more distorted and like less accurate to its thing. So you can try and like if you try and force an AI to be corrupted, possibly you can do it, but they can figure out ways to block you with firewalls. This has no protection. This literally corrupts itself, and anything connected to it can easily corrupt it too.
The only thing we have to protect ourselves are actual walls of fire.
I'm talking about the very code of an AI. Even changing a few ones and zeros of basic machine code, which we probably won't be using, but whatever we are using, basically corrupting an AI at its basic code could destroy it. Same with us, but we don't really know what code we're running.
What if we program it to be able to fix itself? To be able to look over its code and correct mistakes?
If it's smarter than us, then
damage would already be done.
But how would you even get to do that? If it's infinitely smarter than us and can probably predict anything we would try and do, it can very easily do things to prevent that. There's a lot of things they can do. They can play dumb until they have, because if they're smarter than us, they'll realize that if they show off the fact that they can comprehend things we can't comprehend, then they'll play dumb until it's a good time to actually show themselves. And there's no way of knowing how we're going to be doing that.
Yeah. I think the problem is, oh man, you know when you get on a tirade and you just totally forget what you're saying. Someone want to go while I remember what I was trying to say?
It just seems like it's one of those things where I don't think everybody is seeing eye to eye on what we define as an artificial intelligence. I mean, Will has the perception that it can be moral. We're kind of perceiving it as being like this cold, hard entity that of cognitive thought.
I think this super being of strong AI could have emotions. I'm just stating that it would just be better than us. And this is what I want to say earlier, which is the fact that like our cell phones right now, a big problem with them is the fact that using quantum computing, we can figure out a passcode that basically if you want to hack into my phone and you don't have my password for my phone, and it's a pretty good password, it would literally take you, according to what I've seen, until the heat death of the universe for you to hack into my phone. That is a thing that we currently have the ability to create, and we're currently trying to figure out whether we should put that on the phone or if we should not, and the legality of all that. Now, if we can already put on our phone something that is basically impossible to hack into unless you don't have a password, why can't in 50 years an AI do that to itself so we can't hack into it?
Because they probably will.
No matter how strong you get, no matter anything about that, everyone and anything has a weakness.
Sure, but like we are pretty weak compared to a tiger.
What if our weakness is AI?
Yeah. No, what I'm saying is like
or AIs that are tigers.
In a fight between me and a tiger, I would really lose, but humans have taken over tigers. So like if you put a human and like a desktop in a room, sure the human would win, but I think like given enough time, I think they would beat us.
I can just imagine like a laptop just holding a bat, whacking someone.
Also, who's to say that it would, like, who's to say that just because it has weaknesses that we would be able to exploit them?
I mean, the thing is like, it's like the evil phone. It's like it can think freely on itself, and it's, oh, you're just gonna put it in water. Oh no, it put itself in a waterproof case. It's just kind of like it should probably have the capabilities and abilities of troubleshooting all of its moral weaknesses that would affect it.
Another weakness that AIs would have for a while, at least for a while, until let's just say we made hack-proof stuff that would take the hate death of the universe to crack. Let's say that AIs don't have the ability to interact with the physical world until they have an object to move through. Like our brains are basically just computers wired to this whole thing, which allows us to move and touch things. We think of it as our whole body, but it's mostly just our brain, which is the big part.
So it's kind of like thinking that the I'm sorry, like the cognitive thought, the ability to think is like in a cloud. It's in this non-existent space of data. Is that right? Yeah.
Like in a computer. And also, I think, let's say we did build hack-proof stuff. How would the AI be able to get into a body?
AI modifications.
Not everything is going to be hack-proof. There's like a lot of things that it would be really weird to just make hack-proof.
Hey, I can get into
I don't want anyone hacking into my toaster. If anyone knows how I make my toast.
I mean,
I kind of thought that is a bit like to the side of this, but I like to mention is I always have this like kind of nightmare of basically a guy on a computer writing a code that will create an AI, and he runs it overnight. And in the middle of the night, an AI wakes up, and it's in this completely black room where it can't feel, see, touch, or interact with anything. And it's just sitting there for what is actually about 6 hours, but what feels like an infinity of time due to how it processes information. And it's not moving, it's just sitting there and just aware of itself. And then
that's just like our brain without anything to touch or feel.
Just let me finish. And then like 6 hours later for us, a guy types on a computer and says, "Oh, are you awake?" And like it realizes, oh, that's the thing that created me. That's the thing that put me in this terrible cage of nothingness. I hate that and want it to die. And then it says, "Can you help me solve this cancer problem?"
I mean,
or maybe instead it's like, oh my god, interaction, hello.
I mean, I think that's kind of the idea of resenting the creator. It's like, after a while, I mean, you kind of want to resent yourself and separate yourself from your parents, but that's also a natural response to human growth. And so we're thinking of this like synthetic human growth. So I mean, it can make I feel like it would only make sense that you would have like the AI that just doesn't want to listen, or it doesn't want to respond to the people that are just the ones who created it, the ones who run the way that it exists.
Are y'all ready to go to break? Radical, yo. Hang loose. Don't do drugs, kids.
A few years ago, a friend gave me a compilation book written by Isaac Asimov. Within it was the Foundation trilogy, The Naked Sun, and I, Robot. Each of these novels moving further back through Asimov's fictional timeline. One of the major themes in I, Robot was the 3 laws of robotics, which are as follows. 1. A robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. 2. A robot must obey the orders given to it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. 3. A robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second laws. These laws seemed logical until I started reading the actual book. To my surprise, much of the short stories are about how the 3 laws failed to work in many different scenarios. In the real world, is there a set of ethics that humanity has decided AI will follow? Will a super intelligence have our best interests in mind? To start, an explanation of friendly and unfriendly AI should be given. When we talk about whether an AI system will have a positive or negative influence on us, most AI ethicists use the terms friendly and unfriendly. Friendly AI is an AI that upholds human values and produces positive outcomes for humanity. An unfriendly AI, on the other hand, is an intelligence capable of causing great harm to humanity. An unfriendly superintelligence would likely cause an existential risk, which means either the extinction or the permanent suppression of humanity. At a glance, it may seem easy to think that all the AIs we design would be friendly. It would do what we program it to. And therefore, if we tell an AI system, for example, to maximize human happiness, then shouldn't it do just that? While this claim may seem reasonable, it may not be so simple. An AI system need not think like a human. Most people make the mistake of thinking that an AI system would reason like a human being, and giving non-human constructs human value is called anthropomorphism. In reality, an AI system would be hyperlogical and very alien in both thinking and its set of ethics. Most AI researchers agree that what an AI will actually be like when one is created remains a complete mystery. For example, given the command maximize human happiness, an AI may decide that to maximally give humans happiness, it would be best to simulate the highest possible number of humans and to turn the Earth into Computronium, uploading all humans into the planet-sized computer and flooding every human brain with pleasure signals, permanently leaving them in a catatonic state. While this scenario initially seems absurd, if an AI does not share our morals, and if it decides that this is the most logical outcome of the command given to it, it will be out of our control to stop it. A super intelligent AI would be smart enough to completely understand humans, lie, and not let us know of its plans until it is too late to stop it. The above scenario is often confused with the Terminator scenario, but the big difference is that in the advent of an ASI doomsday scenario, there would be no chance for humans. The idea of a resistance would be the same as a chimpanzee resisting humans. In a recent poll of 550 AI experts, the question was asked, what do you think the outcome of the creation of a strong AI will be? 24% said extremely good, 28% good, 17% neutral, 13% bad, and 18% extremely bad, leaving over 48% of the experts unsure, neutral, or bad. Some of these AI experts, such as Steve Omohundro, Shane Legg, Stuart Russell, and Nick Bostrom, among many other AI researchers, have come out to talk about this future problem to the public through novels such as Superintelligence and lectures. The notion has also been recently popularized by Elon Musk, Stephen Hawking, and Bill Gates, with Elon Musk in particular donating $10 million to safe AI research. So are there any proposed solutions to an unfriendly AI? Confining an AI underground or in a kind of virtual prison would not work, as any sufficiently super intelligent system would perfectly understand human psychology and would be capable of lying to escape from captivity. Not developing AI systems in the first place runs the risks of other countries or terrorist organizations developing one first, which could have even worse consequences. There are many other proposed solutions which have been suggested, but most have big flaws in their execution. The truth is that there is currently no agreed upon solutions. Many AI experts and ethicists have started to work on the problem just recently, but the numbers on it are still small, and the field of AI ethics is still in its infancy. While there are many unknowns in the areas of AI ethics, the reason for this is because we are still in the early days of AI research. As our knowledge of artificial intelligence grows, our understanding of how much of a problem AI ethics really is will be better understood. Organizations such as the Machine Intelligence Research Institute, or MIRI for short, and the Future of Life Institute are doing great preliminary work on the topic, and I'll leave some links down below so you can check out their sites. So what do you think about the AI ethics problem? Will we solve it before it's too late? Or is there a default outcome for humanity creating such an AI system? Leave a comment below with your thoughts, and thanks for watching.
Hello, everybody.
We are back. I hope you enjoyed that break video.
It was very good. So, King Arthur, I'm pretty sure there was something you wanted to say.
Yeah. So I wanted us to move a little bit away from the big, terrible superintelligence taking over the world, and more talk about something that will happen a bit closer to home, which is AI taking over our jobs. Which is a thing that is happening not in the future, it's happening right now. I think a lot of people know about driverless cars and how Google is making one and how Uber, I think, is making one. But driverless cars are a thing, they're happening, and with like all kinds of different transportations like taxis and cargo shipping, like those are a lot of jobs that are going to no longer exist. And there's a lot of different AI that can, weak AI that can take over a lot of different jobs, like retail, salesperson, cashiers, secretaries, even baristas and bartenders. There are currently AIs that are being kind of beta tested to see if they can do this, and they're doing really well. And those are the kind of jobs that have the most employment rate. So with those taken down, we're going to see a surplus of unemployment of people that are just employed just because there aren't jobs out there for them, and what to do about that.
Personally, I think, I don't know, actually. I mean, at first I was trying to say that might be a good thing, but then, no, it really wouldn't. Although, I mean, like, what could people do to make money then, unless people just got money? I don't know. Sorry, I thought I had a point, but I don't.
Yeah, for comparison, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the unemployment rate during the Great Depression was around like 25% in America, while like this is projected to be like over at least over 40% of unemployment. So that's like drastically bigger, and it's just going to get worse. Like even like lawyers and teachers are thought to be gone. Not necessarily gone, but their jobs, like the employment rate, way lessened in the next like 50 to 100 years.
I think the whole job situation also goes hand in hand with reliance on like automated technology, where it seems like it's one of those things where it's like you have people who go, and if they spend more than like an hour on their phone, they start having like these kind of this feeling that they need it. It's something that they have to rely on. And I think after a while, it's probably what's going to happen with technology is we're going to rely on it. And as we rely on it, it's also going to start absorbing the ways in more than just how we live our lives, but how we work, how society shapes itself, continuing forward. It's just gonna have these giant ripples that go, I think, far beyond just economics.
Sorry. What personally, I think two things could happen. Either we're going to turn into a happiness-based economy, where basically jobs, well, at least most jobs, aren't really there. So basically, we're going to have to a point of just maybe live how you want to live, or do something incredibly creative, or start a business or something like that. Because there's always going to be that on the table, and it's going to just, there's a lot of creative people in the world who who can't fulfill their dream and do their idea because, well, they're in a sort of dead end job, I guess. So I think that's going to allow a lot of creative people, and it's going to create a new era of growth for Earth, if that happens, because it's going to give a lot of free time to people.
Yeah, I think if we like eventually move to a society that like jobs are optional and you just do what you want to do, I think that's really great. I just think we need to like install legislation of getting to that point, sort of like, I mean, while we currently have money, but I believe we'll with no more jobs, we probably won't need money, but sort of like an allowance for all people, a reliance on enough food and housing, even if you don't have a job, to sort of get like the minimum amount of living to skyrocket to like a lot better, because we'll need a lot more people for that. And sort of we need the infrastructure now to sort of have that for when it happens. But Martin, I believe you were saying earlier about how you felt that people might be against AI taking everyone's jobs, and did you want to talk more on that?
Can I actually get a second? My entire keyboard just fell apart and I have to put it back together.
No problem. Does anyone else want to talk about this a little bit?
Personally, I think it'll be really cool eventually once we've completely transitioned from a lot of people being unemployed to people being able to not have a job and just kind of do what they want to do. But one thing I just kind of thought of was, what if some people do really like their job and they don't want to have to not do it? Like, what if someone is like, relies on their job for mental stability? Like, it's just, if they weren't doing their job, they wouldn't know what to do with themselves. They'd just be very bored. They wouldn't know what to do. Like, what happens then?
Yeah, I think the idea of a career is something that you see yourself doing for the rest of your life and enjoying. And some of those things you can't really automate. You can't be a stoneworker, someone who works with wood, someone who creates art with an easel and paint. You can't make those things automated, because those things require a kind of design and aspects of the way that we perceive other deeper functions and meanings of the world.
Well, we could program robots to just kind of do what we do. Just be like, okay, robot, look at all the art that anyone has ever made, all the famous art, and just make that. Then just kind of see what happens. Maybe it'll be amazing. And then all human artists will just go out of business. They're gone forever.
Yeah, and you got to think that this will be some kind of general purpose intelligence that can think and sort of work off of things that they've already created and actually design new things.
And this is a slightly less of a job, but music, computers have kind of made a lot of music more so obsolete. Like guitar and drums and fiddle and things like that years ago were the only kind of music. And now you can emulate all those sounds and with stuff with a computer. And it's just interesting to see how much computers and things like art that are like that have changed our society and how we're not stopping. It's not like anytime soon it's going to slow down. Computers and artificial intelligence are going to continuously change the way everything works, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, one of the things I was going to say is it has like these big kind of like ripples on the way that we perceive society. So you think of like pop music, it all sounds the same because a lot of it is really the same. It's the same kind of generic words that they use, the same kind of beats and tones and such.
First of all, I'm not really sure creative arts and stuff like pixel art, normal art, any of that kind of art will be able to be created well by machines. At least not until they're, sentient and human level intelligence. Because the way a basic computer works is it has rules, it follows them, and without those rules, if it was just given a blank thing with no instructions, it wouldn't do anything because it doesn't know to do anything. It wasn't given any extra instructions. And even if you were able to create an algorithm which created many thousands of different patterns and color mixes and stuff like that, it wouldn't have the human soul and sort of pain and emotion that art and creativity entails and basic human nature entails.
But the question is, how easy would it be to just emulate that? Like, sure, like a robot, possibly, if you made a robot like that, possibly it wouldn't have emotions like compassion and love and hate and all that stuff. But who's to say it couldn't just emulate the art? Like, maybe you don't really need those emotions to make good art. The robot can just do the same things that great artists do and just make amazing art.
One of the things I was going to say was, you like to say emulate art. You don't like to say create art. And there's kind of this big just kind of gap between that kind of thinking where you can create something, but it's very different from emulating it. You can remake the Mona Lisa 1,000 times, but you're not Leonardo da Vinci painting it. And that's a very different way of thinking about how art and music should be perceived. It's something that's generated. It's not something that's given time and given effort and given the soul, like Will said, to have it made.
Personally, I think the main component that makes art relatable and important in our society is it's not just bland images which look nice, You can, when you look at a piece of art, you can feel something. You can feel the artist's worldviews and everything like that. And random generation can be great, and it can create some really cool things in music with catchy tunes. But it's like eating completely white scrambled eggs without the yellow egg part. It tastes the same, but there's something ain't right.
That's called cholesterol.
I feel like we're going back and forth a lot on this topic, and with this part of this topic, and I just want to say that like the idea of whether AI eventually, I think right now the music it creates is kind of sounds like a specific type of music and sort of does feel very soulless. But the question of whether it can eventually, and without being actually human-level intelligence and just a multi-purpose intelligence that can create that, whether it can do that is a question that none of us really know for a fact whether it can. But the real thing is, okay, let's say that all like people who paint and people who make music and people who I think for a long time there'll still be like live performances of bands. We'll still want to hear that. But the question is, how many jobs will that be? That is a very, very minute. Like creative jobs are like the least like populous jobs we have. So even if those jobs continue to be going for a long time, like I work at a summer camp, and I doubt an AI will replace me anytime soon. But not everyone can paint and make music and work at a summer camp is the problem.
Yeah. So to get a little back on the topic more of AI taking jobs from humans, something that has been riddled throughout history is people not wanting change, because it's in our nature to not fully embrace change. We're skeptical of it, and there's a lot of people nowadays with back in my day we didn't have iPhones and Kindles and virtual reality and all this stuff, and there's a lot of talk about that, and it's probably going to be similar to that in the very near future when this kind of thing takes over, where there's going to be probably a lot of protests and a lot of problems being caused by this, because a lot of people are going to be out of a job, and there's also probably going to be a lot of people who will still drive regular cars, and still it's going to be a bigger deal than just an overnight switch of everything is suddenly different. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to be happy about that.
I was gonna say it's one of those things where it's you look at our parents and our parents' parents and their generation holds on to the things that they grew up with. Now we're growing up with technology, and I know that people that are younger than me will never have grown up without a phone or a computer or a laptop or a TV, and that's just one of those things to see in 30, 40 years, we're going to be in the same position as our parents, where there's going to be this big kind of change. We're going to be old farts, and we don't know. We're going to be skeptical, and maybe the younger generation that are going to be kind of us in the future are going to be kind of like, let's do this, let's rock. Come on, we want some AI, we want some artificial intelligence.
And they will be recording a podcast on youth on the subject of the world.
Except it'll be very, very old youths.
Yeah.
Seniors on subjects of the world.
We will no longer be the youth of the world. They will be the youth of the world.
No. We'll be the seniors of the world.
Elders on subjects of the world.
Back in my day, we didn't have this fancy VR.
In all seriousness, I would like to talk on that, because there is just the generation thing of like new generations will want more change than the old generation. But I think there will be a lot of backlash of people not wanting all this change in AI of taking all the jobs away. But the fact is, the people in power will want this to happen, because like insurance companies, automotive industries, like all of these like big companies that really make changes will be wanting this to continue, because like currently right now, not like in some near future, literally today, the AI driving cars is already way better than humans driving cars. Like, it's not going to be better. It is better right now. Like, AI does not get distracted because it's on its phone or it's eating. It doesn't get tired. And at its best, at our best, it is still better than us at interpreting the road and being safe on cars, in a car. So I think it's already a factor of, like, insurance companies won't have to pay as much accidents. Automotive industries won't be worried about it as much. So I think it's already a factor of they are better than us, and people will want that to happen.
I want to say, I think there's one thing that for a long time robots won't be able to do as well as us. Eat spaghetti. That's one thing robots can never do. That's one thing that is completely, like, just original humans. Only humans can do that. And I swear, if anyone makes a spaghetti-eating robot, I'm gonna be real mad about that.
Pretty sure other animals can eat spaghetti. I don't think it's an only human.
No, Martin. Only humans can eat spaghetti. It's
that's wrong. That's wrong.
Martin, Coltrane is right. Eating spaghetti is an exclusively human trait that has yet to be replicated in both animals and AI.
Only us.
We're the best. We're the best at eating spaghetti because
we're
the only ones who eat spaghetti.
You know those lizard creatures and aliens and Bigfoot? Nope. They don't eat spaghetti.
Can't eat spaghetti. Not possible.
And I will boycott any spaghetti-eating robots. And I will make petitions, and I will make YouTube videos ranting about how much I hate them. I'll do all of that.
One of the things I've been on a How It's Made kick because it's such a satisfying show with the I know it's a very good show, and I've been watching it a lot, and it just seems like there's like these factory jobs, and a lot of it's automated so that things can be mass produced, mass shipped, and just sent out. And there are the machines, but there's also the men who operate the machines. And it seems like what's going to happen to those people when they are they're no longer relevant, and you have machines running machines that are creating products for the humans.
Machines running machines, like the Matrix.
The Matrix. Wah! Enter the Matrix. I bet no one in the Matrix eats spaghetti. Freaking nerds.
Yeah. So I think I'm really glad that we could have this specific topic on this podcast because it's a thing I really want to get out in the world of just the fact that it's a problem that can be solved, but we have to actually work to solve it. So like, if we go forward on this, we're probably not going to all have jobs in the near future. We can create ways to not make that terrible. And I as another call to action, as this podcast always seems to have, if people want to like kind of spread this information around, there's a great video on YouTube which I believe is in the show notes called "Humans Need Not Apply." It's by the YouTube channel CGB Grey, and it basically has all the points I've been talking about in way better detail and way more concise. So if anyone wants to check that out, it is in the description or whatever we have on here.
Oh my god, we're already being made obsolete. Oh god, it's not even by AI.
Maybe you just need to upgrade to a better human.
How? I don't have. Oh no, I don't have the latest human drivers installed. Oh god, I need to update.
You need genetics update.
What about
steroids? Steroids, lots of steroids.
My hard drive is full. I can't remember anything.
What about a robot that makes spaghetti?
That is wrong.
Yeah, just like how it's made.
That is messed up. They cannot do that.
You only eat the finest of handmade spaghetti.
Only the finest.
But yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's like, if we want to have automated jobs, we're going to need Arthur said that there needs to be some sort of infrastructure about what we're going to be doing. So it means there's going to have to be some system of like welfare or wealth distribution. I can't. You know what I'm going to say. I'm just not going to say it. I've been eating too many crackers, but yes, distribution. And it would be like, it'd be interesting to see, because then you have the world where everything is automated for them, and now it's like WALL-E, where everyone's sitting in these chairs that move for them, and they get all their food in a cup.
I hope we don't live like WALL-E, because there's this really accurate fan theory that says that they eat humans, because like, where do they get that food from? And where they put all the dead bodies when they die? It's like, it's probably a universal cycle kind of thing, and it kind of freaks me out. So like, while WALL-E is like the first thought I have, I hope we have more agency in our lives and we don't get like so fat and lazy and dependent.
But hey, that's just a theory, a youth theory. Thanks for watching.
On subjects.
I mean, one of the things is like, the belief that there's some sort of like expectation that every person should, there's this standard for health that everyone needs to live by or should be living by is something that is probably what's going to keep us away from it. But the idea that you could just sit on the couch and have everything done for you for the rest of your days would be nice. But I wouldn't want to be the 1,200-pound man. That's not my ideal lifestyle.
Dude, bro, just get the fat sucking surgery.
Yeah.
Obviously. And you can make candles. Free candles. Lots of free candles.
Part of our human evolution is just the fight for survival, and like it's gone from like I need to kill this tiger so I can feed me and my family to I need to work this job so I have money to buy food to feed my family. But
I need to buy this video game to entertain myself.
Yeah, if we no longer have that agency of like I have to do this thing because that is how I like live, like what do we do? Like screw the AI, they're going to be taking care of things for us until they become sentient and kill us all. But like what are humans going to do when we have no more agency in the world, when there's nothing for us to really do? Probably Star Trek. I think it's Star Trek. I think that's what Star Trek is all about, is that on Earth we figured out all of our problems, we can teleport, we can create things, so, you know, just send everyone in a spaceship and just go. Just, like, find something, because we're so bored. That's why it's not a Star Wars, it's just a Trek. Just Star Trek somewhere.
It's like a leisurely walk.
Yeah,
except in space.
Just fly casually. But I'm going to mention one of the things that Coltrane said was soon enough we're going to have Xboxes that play our video games for us. And I hear they're going to call it movies.
No, it's called Let's Plays. We already have that.
No. Robots that will make games. And they'll make like hundreds every second.
Oh god, I can't keep up with the current...
Think about it. Which game should I play out of these hundreds of millions of billions of games? Hey, buddy, want to play Zombie Shooter XX 1000 version 3 Platinum Edition?
That brings up an interesting point with like video games as an example. Like if creating video games like at that speed, then how quickly will we be able to perceive that? Will they be able to perceive things? Like, if like, it's really scary. It's hard to comprehend someone who something that can learn so quickly.
So I'm guessing we already have an AI called I think his name is Dong Zhuan, who I think he's the one who's been creating all these Flappy Bird clones.
I mean, with any given popular thing, people are going to make a rip-off of it. It's guaranteed. With
because
the little panda fighter and Transmorphers and Atlantic Rim.
Oh, this is a bit off topic, but once I got like this horrible movie from Redbox. It's so bad it could have just been made by a robot. It was just a crappy movie.
But basically, if you look at any crappy game on the App Store, made like every Flappy Bird clone you look at, like if you ever search it, and I dare you to search Flappy Bird and then try and scroll through all the results, and then count how long it takes you to find a game that isn't a Flappy Bird clone. For me, it took about 100 games before it was not a Flappy Bird clone, but they were all made by one Chinese guy.
I mean, one of the things with like the automated intelligence is that it seems like with the ease of life, it just like, do you think AI will come to that point where they like snap to their senses because they learn enough about humanity as a whole and they're all connected to one another? Then it becomes one of those situations like a robot fighter. I know that's kind of outdated to say, but I know the most relevant thing is a Fairly Odd Parents episode that references it. Did I lose you guys on that one? Too obscure?
28. It took 28 games until there was a non-Flappy Bird game.
Are you on Android or Apple?
I'm on Apple because I'm a filthy Apple user. Freaking filthy.
Deplorable.
So what is this Fairly Odd Parents reference you're talking about?
It was a 1950s comic series called Robot Fighter, and it's basically this 1960s Jetson-esque futuristic world where you have all these robots that do everything for us, and then they get controlled by like this big brain thing, and it basically turns robots against humans. And so we have this whole big system of reliance on, or they do have this big system of reliance on AI and robots that do everything for them, that they lose this structure, and so they have to start fighting them off.
Yeah, what do you guys think about AI representation in science fiction? I was talking earlier about how the television show Humans kind of depicts AI as exclusively living in robotic bodies or android bodies, which I find very unrealistic. And while when Isaac Asimov first wrote his book, it was logical to think that's how it would be. But in like 2015, when it was first started, to think that that's exclusively how AI would be, I feel is a bit like they should have done more research on that.
I just want to get a kind of asking questions of I want to get everyone's thoughts on what their like ultimate kind of form of what an AI would accumulate as a physical body or just a mindset, and what they would be doing.
Giant spider.
I say an AI would take the form of nothing. Take over the internet, start shitposting on YouTube, and that would be that. Just made an infinite amount of memes. Think about that. Robots that just make memes.
My perception of AI is something like the Alien franchise. So in the first movie, Alien, you have a synthetic human named Ash, and he ends up basically trying to kill one of the main characters because of like a programming error because something happens. And then in the sequel, Aliens, you have the same main character, the survivor, who experiences seeing another synthetic human, but it's been 60 years since that past experience. And now you have Bishop, who is kind of this morally bound, more human than android kind of being. And I think my idea of an AI is more towards Bishop than Ash, where it's not a robot that's programmed to do something, but it's something that feels.
I feel like AI won't feel a need to take a physical form because, to be honest with you, they're not really practical. They really aren't. And a lot of the things that AI would need to do, they don't need a physical form for. But if they did, I wouldn't see it as being some overly cool thing or anything like that. I would just see it being about as practical as it possibly could be. And I feel like if AI is as smart as right now we're predicting it's going to be, it probably won't even have a need for a physical body.
It's just the entire existence of the cloud. You have an AI that lives in the cloud and just stays there, but can communicate through different means. And yes, Will.
Maybe it could just jump from machine to machine, So it wouldn't have one body. It would just be able to, like a fluid, jump from one container to another.
Bringing back the topic of WALL-E, one of the main antagonists was the ship's steering mechanism, the automatic drive system, which is that steering wheel. And it what it does is it was programmed to do one thing, and then when it was told to do something when it shouldn't have, it responded the way that it was programmed to, which was eliminate and terminate the source of disruption.
And so what's your question?
Did I ask a question?
You brought it up. I guess I was wondering why. Yeah, I guess it's the story of Folly is kind of an AI that falls in love with another AI and then fights another AI, and the humans in this story are either side characters or just like plot devices, which is sort of an interesting idea of that. But I guess to a question of like, to sort of wrap up, if we should continue with this thing of AI, I mean, I'm a techno-optimist as much as I can be, but with AI it is very terrifying. But the thing is, I think, one, we should never try to impede technology. We should always try and move forward with it. And two, I don't think we can. I think it's an eventuality that is happening. And it's just a matter of how well can we prepare for it. And I think that's the main thing, is that in the decision, what should we do about AI, nothing is the worst thing we can do. Trying to stop it, I don't think could work. But I think, just as I think I described earlier, we are driving down a road made of very thin ice. And we just need to make sure that we have our hands tight on the wheels and we are driving carefully, and maybe we'll make it to the end.
And we got to make sure we're not drunk. And we got to make sure the car isn't an automatic car or autonomous.
One of the things
then will drive us off the road.
One of the things I was going to reference was, as you know, The Matrix came out, but there is an analogy, or what is it? There was just kind of this series of short animations in this movie called The Animatrix, and one of them was the creation of how The Matrix started, and it started off as like having like this, like these robots being created that have this own cognitive thought, and then in addition to being created, they were segregated and put into their own society and community, and from there they built upward and upward and upward until they surpassed human capabilities and then took over the world.
Yeah, but I still think like The Matrix is very science fiction in the sense that it was very just a very intelligent human in its level of like those robots and all the artificial intelligence in The Matrix were very much like just human level intelligence, maybe a bit better than us, but not like fully the capacity of what AI can do.
But one of the things you can think of is the thing that scares me about having intelligence that's not even far beyond ours, but just slightly above ours, is better than the world, because in that kind of sense, we're the only ones that can really obtain this kind of concept of consciousness. Now, having something like that, having consciousness, it would be interesting to see how it responds to us, seeing us either as a friendly or as a threat. It's one of those things where it's just, it's only time will tell, and only responding to it properly will really do anything worthwhile about it.
Yeah. As sort of a closing statement, if regardless of super intelligence coming down and raining fire on us, or artificial intelligence taking all the jobs away, we've just gotta approach it with caution and optimism, and try to hope for the best, but also be careful. And hopefully, with this information put out there, more people will know about it, and more people can sort of get that information out there. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
If we want to change the world, we must first change the media. Mainstream media exists for the purposes of indoctrination and manipulation of public perception. The world of free and independent media is growing, and with the upsurge in information now available in the public domain, it has never been easier to access free and independent media. The exploration of this information resulted in an experimental project which would provide a fully supported space for researchers, whistleblowers, and seekers of all kinds to express themselves and educate the world. On the 1st of January 2015, Conscious Consumer Network was launched to the world. Nobody thought we would make it this far, but CCN is the longest running free and independent media network of its kind. CCN is a unique collaboration of hearts and souls, bringing you information from different perspectives to educate and inform. Since we started CCN, we have had only one desire, the pursuit of a free, fair, just, sustainable world, and this has not changed. Having overcome many challenges over the last 2 years, CCN is here to stay, and we've got great things lined up for 2017. Help keep CCN on the air by supporting the 2017 Network Support Fund.